There's a wide variety of reasons people use it. A lot of it is for criminal activity, because it's a criminal can go across state lines, different countries, and have access to a source of funds based on the computer. Because if you go to deposit $10,000 into your bank account now, it flags the U.S. government for possible terrorism, drug, things like that. So you can put as much money as you want into a crypto currency wallet, and it's not going to trigger anything. And it's portable. Like I can go, whoever can take millions of dollars in cryptocurrency and have a small computer hard drive or a flash drive, and not have a duffel bag full of cash with them.
Yeah. So certainly a major red flag, and we're seeing more and more scams kind of evolve. You know, they might start out as, you know, the sweepstakes scam that I started to describe a minute ago, where you're listed on a list of winners, and they need you to pay, you know, the taxes or fees associated with your winnings, and they want you to do that via Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. So everything that we're seeing with scams is slowly trending closer and closer to being cryptocurrency preferred. So if you're not familiar with it and you don't use it, that can you know, be a benefit to you. Oh, I don't do that. I'm not going to fall for that one. So just know that it's very difficult, if it possible, to trace, and getting it back is practically unheard of. Any other questions with crypto?
I'm piggybacking off of her question about what is the benefit. I mean, people are talking about it, but
The president.
it's negative.
The president, isn't he
Well,
selling it? I mean, I'm just saying, I don't want to get political, but there's got to be something
well,
good.
I guess I'm wondering, we mentioned scams and how they initiate those with people. Is it through something that you, like you were talking about the sweepstakes, that you initiate as a result of something they post to you and you click on it, or how do they get into your bank account and all of that?
Yeah, lying.
But
They
lying
get
to
you
do
to
it
create
anyway.
the account. Great question. They get you to create the account in the crypto wallet and essentially turn the keys over to them. They're going to want that crypto wallet password that he was describing, this very long, detailed number. They trick you into providing that. They will then transfer that money out into
What would
a
be the
different.
carrot, though, to trick you? I mean, I'm not hearing how I need to prevent it.
Yeah. You know, that is what we're here to talk about.
Okay.
So with any one of these scams, they are incredibly skilled at human behavior. They know exactly what to say, when to say it, how to say it, to convince you that what they're saying is true. We have seen people report scams where they are convinced that their situation is true. They're convinced that they have won the $1 million. And all they have to do is just send another $1,000 to get this problem taken care of. The point is, they take the logic out of the equation every single time, and they get people to make decisions based on emotion. Whether that's hope, I really need this money, this will solve so many problems, if I could just win, if I'm gonna win, this is great, it's gonna help. If it's the romance scam where the person genuinely, and I mean genuinely, believes they are in a relationship with someone, if you think about to yourself, what would it take to convince me that this is true? You know, it's a lot, right? And you just need to know that scammers are incredibly prepared for that.
I understand if I am initiating something, that something comes to me. I
Sure.
have a friend that she just lost everything in her bank account. So
Yeah.
I didn't know how that happened. She doesn't know how it happened. The bank is investigating it. But is that something that
Yeah.
similar? Or
Yeah.
how do they get in your bank account?
So compromised information, this might be a good area for you since this is your specialty.
So a lot of the victims of the scams that I investigate, they're cold calls. They call them up, they get your numbers, the data brokers, send these numbers, they find names. recently I've had a couple now where, for those of us that are experienced enough to remember the Publishers Clearinghouse,
Yeah.
that scam is alive and well.
Really?
I just had a victim out almost $40,000 because she was told she won the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes, and that in order to receive her cash prize before they could release the funds, she would have to pay the taxes on it. So this is a huge one, where they tell you you win a cash prize, but you have to pay the taxes before the release. Huge red flag, because if you win a cash prize, they're gonna take the taxes out of it before you get it. You will never have to pay the taxes up front for a legitimate contest that you win or sweepstakes. So once they do that, is then they will have you either send a personal check, a cashier's check, sometimes a wire transfer. Wire transfers are huge. My wife works in a bank. She's had several customers that she has done all she can to try to say this is not a legit thing, but you're the customer. If you want to send your money, it's going to happen. So they play on that emotion, like she was talking about, is, oh, I'm going to get $500,000, but I got to pay $50,000 in tax. So I'm going to send my $10,000 in, but I'm going to get all the other money back. So they're playing on your emotions is exactly what it is.
Well, my friend didn't jump into that emotion.
Yeah.
She just doesn't know how this happened at all.
Mm.
I think that she feels that she used her credit card, and it sort of stemmed from that. And it wasn't anything that she responded to at all.
Well, I can tell you that it's based on my experience of what I've investigated. I have not seen a complete against individuals. Businesses are different, where they have organized hackers that target businesses, but against the individual is the scammers will contact them somehow, phone. You click on a link on your computer, and it's not full-blown ransomware, but it pops up on the screen and says your computer or your phone's infected with a virus.
I've had that
You need to
happen.
contact this number and then pay X amount of money, and we'll unlock it, when all you have to do is like Control-Alt-Delete and
Right.
close that browser session down. But they're following. I have yet to come to a case, and I've been in investigations for about 7 years, and I have not had a single case, a scam case, where the victim did not do something, take a step. I'm not saying it's 100% that way or it can't happen, but generally, and it targets, the older population, because not as tech savvy, not aware of the different things that go on with the computers and the telephones, and they can send you a text. Now they're going to your text message.
Yeah.
Random text message.
Yeah.
You click this link. A big one is your account's been compromised.
I've
Verify
got-
your account detail by clicking
I've
a
actually
link.
got
Big one with iPass right now too, where it's like, pay your iPass bill.
Right,
Here's the text
iPass.
message, and
Yeah.
the link to do it.
Oh, that's
I-
a big one in Illinois, yeah.
Yes, iPass is huge. I get them on my work cellular phone saying that was the Champaign County Sheriff's Office. I missed a court date.
Jury duty.
And they call me.
Yeah.
They'll call me, and I'm like, really? Because what's your name, deputy? What's your this? And I'm like, well, I've been working for Champaign PD for 20 years, and I've never heard of you.
Yeah.
And they tell me that the warrant's going to be an issue for me. So it targets everyone.
And with that particular scam on phishing or the links, do we have a question?
Yeah, I do have a question. I went to Chicago on vacation one time, and I had a reservation online. I used my debit card to reserve the hotel. And when I left the hotel the last time, someone had hacked and took $100 for DoorDash, and there was no name or anything on that. So my bank called me up in Chicago. It was UC Bank, and he said, you gotta come and close the account. So I came back home, but is it easier for debits to do the scam or credit cards? Which is easier?
Yeah, great question.
I've been told that it.
Yeah, typically we recommend using a credit card for transactions, especially if you're traveling. They offer a little bit more protection, and they're not tied directly to your checking account. So should there be a fraudulent transaction, it's not as painful right out of your checking account. Would you agree, or do you have a?
Yeah, I would agree. The credit card, it's easier to dispute with the card issuer for a fraudulent transaction. And plus, you're not out your bank balance, because whether it's a skimmer, when you swipe something, they put it over the terminal, or whether it's now with the little touch, the tap, there's RFID readers that they have, that if you walk proximity to me and I don't have a shielded card, I can walk by you with a device and capture that information. So with your bank account, once that money's out, it's gonna take several days to weeks for the bank to reimburse you with that, with your funds.
Yeah, great question. Yeah. Any other questions on that? Yeah.
Did I just understand that if the money is taken out of your checking account or your bank account, that the bank will reimburse you?
Depends on your bank
Yeah.
policies.
Not always.
Yeah, but not always. One lady, one of the most recent scams I had, the Publishers Clearinghouse, she sent 2 cashier's checks and 2 personal checks, and totaling almost $40,000. And the bank she was with says the cashier's checks are as good as gone, but they're going to work on reimbursing her personal checking account. And other banks I've dealt with, they will say, you wrote a personal check, you willingly did it, you're out the money, and they're not going to reimburse. So it depends on your bank,
Yeah.
your bank's policy.
Yeah. So that's why we're saying credit cards are a little bit better built to handle those types of disputes. So it's a good option to consider.
Because you're not out the cash right up front. You might take a few weeks for the bank to do their investigation and whatnot and say this is a fraudulent charge, but it's not pulled out of your account like with the debit card. Because that cash is gone and held up until your bank says, yeah, we're going to reimburse you or not.
The other thing I want to touch on with this subject is how artificial intelligence has taken this type of scam and really all scams to the next level. So he was describing getting a text about your summons, your jury summons, or a text that you might receive from your bank, or an email that you might receive, or even phone calls. And the artificial intelligence can be built to look exactly like what you would expect to receive from the county or from the police department or from your bank. They'll probably even get smart enough to use real officer names pretty soon. And so you just really have to be on guard that not only do you have to anticipate being targeted in this scam, but you're not going to be able to trust what you hear or see anymore. You're going to have to take that extra step to verify that these types of things are legitimate. And the same old tips of like if someone's asking you to confirm your banking information or a card number or any kind of account number, Medicare is a big one. They won't ask you for information they already have. And we're seeing this with businesses too. We're getting reports of slamming scams. So if you know anybody that owns a business, just know this type of thing also happens to them as well. So be on the lookout for things that look real. Logos might even be exact, but we're seeing that as a great way for scammers to impersonate anything and everyone in order to trick them.
And with the AI going now, the scammers only need to record a few words of your voice or anyone's voice to make it sound like your bank. We're seeing in some of the banks where they'll capture someone's voice, and then the AI program will prompt it, and they'll call the bank, or they'll call the victim and saying, hey, this is so-and-so from First Federal Bank, and we need you to do X, Y, or Z, transfer, there's a problem. So if you ever get a call, what I would suggest you do is if someone's purporting to be your bank, because they can fool, it's called spoofing, they can spoof your number so it looks like it's legitimately coming from your bank. I don't know about everyone else, but I keep all my stuff stored in my cell phone, so when it rings up, the caller ID is there. But it's really easy to, different programs that they can use to make it say whatever they want. So if you're not 100% sure that it's your bank, or your bank's cold calling you for something and saying, I need you to change, whatever on your account settings, if you're able to, go into the bank and do it. I recommend handling all that stuff in person. But also hang up with them and then call your bank and verify it with it. Where don't hit redial or the last call that you have, but physically dial your bank number and ask to speak to someone there, and then you can verify it that way. But I recommend if you're doing any of the account changing, do it in person.
So the same with the emails, don't hit any links, just
Yeah.
go pull it
Yeah.
in the browser.
Yeah.
If you hover over the link, because a lot of them will do a short, abbreviated hyperlink. If you hover over it with your cursor, it'll usually tell you, it might say Citibank.com, would be, or city.com, whatever it is. But if you see a bunch of weird characters after where it says city and then it's like Joe Snuffy and everything else, that's not a legit link. But anyone can do
If
that.
it sends you to Apple, but it's not actually APLE,
Yeah.
it's APPIE.
Yeah.
If you're not looking fast enough, you miss that misspelling.
I apologize if you didn't cover this yet, but if you're getting like a text message, generally speaking, legitimate text messages or emails for accounts that you hold will be addressed to your name, your proper name, whatever's on the account. But when you just get Dear Apple or iTunes user, your account has been flagged for fraudulent activity, please verify. If it's a generic email, you should automatically be suspicious of it, because if it's most legit businesses, when they send you correspondence, it's addressed to you by name, not just, user,
Yeah. Yep.
because that's
Good
another
advice.
one where.
Yeah.
I just want to share something. It was my fault, but there was a wrong credit card charge, and I looked on the back and dialed the 1-800 number. I was one digit off, and there was somebody on the other line who was very professional, and
You
yeah.
didn't know.
So be careful when you dial numbers.
Yeah.
They were ready for that to happen,
Yeah, we see that a lot too, where people will Google, like Citibank, and the first result is a paid ad by a scammer. So you click on that, or you call the phone number that's listed as the first result, and you end up in a world of headache
Oh my
with
gosh.
that. So yeah, don't rely on the first result all
That's
the
good to
time.
know.
Yeah, they know we're in a hurry. They're like, okay, yeah, that's the phone number.
Usually, the word ad is so small and tiny that
Yeah.
you can barely see it, or to say sponsored, but it's like way down in the bottom corner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I do notice sometimes too, like if you're looking at the zip code, we don't look at the zip code when we're looking at the address. But sometimes if you look at the zip code, it may be out of the area too.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We'll get, a slide on
Mhm.
Champaign. Yeah, we can talk about,
Yeah.
we'll get to this one next, but with that one, every time we get an online shopping scam reported, which is still the #1 scam, by the way, meaning you find a product, maybe in a social media ad that looks great for a fantastic price, you click to buy it real quick, or you go to a website and you buy something and you never receive it. Those are online shopping scams. To his point with the zip code, always research that address. So many times we find that they're virtual offices or they're cornfields or parking lots, so that's a great tip with paying attention to the address. Are they actually there?
And one thing you can do if you're researching the address is type it into like Google Maps, because there's a street view when you put the address, because if it's a legit address and it is a building, it'll show up and then you hit the street view and it'll show you the building. If it's a vacant lot, it'll put you in between the middle, and if you're looking on the street view on Google Maps and it's saying that address, then you know not to
It's
shop there.
garbage. Yeah, that's one of the first things we do, and it is a great tool to street view and just drive around like, well, that's a residence. They're not selling mattresses there. I'm not gonna buy that. I do want to talk quite a bit about romance scams, if you would stay with me for this one, because we're seeing more and more victims reporting instances of this. There was a news article yesterday about a woman in Illinois who lost $1 million.
Is that like fishing?
Romance scam.
Like fishing? That fall into that?
No, well, this will be like when someone starts to get involved with someone they've never met, and they genuinely believe that they are in a relationship with someone. As I mentioned earlier, I've done these talks throughout Central Illinois for about a year, this specific seminar, and one of the trends that I want you to know about is the use of celebrities in these scams. So I've had local people tell me that they themselves or their mother or aunt or someone truly believes that they are messaging on Facebook with a celebrity. And I'm talking Harrison Ford, Elon Musk is a big one, Keanu Reeves, Jennifer Aniston has been named, Julia Roberts is another one, I'm sure you've heard of.
Liam Neeson.
Oh, yeah.
George Clooney is another one.
Yeah, Taylor Swift, yeah. So think about these celebrities, imagine receiving a message from them on Facebook and, well, what the heck? Hey, Harrison, how's it going? Love your movie. Huge Indiana Jones fan, you know? And the messages are coming back and they're personalized. You know, hey, Jessica, how are you doing today? You know, loved your post about your garden or whatever. They develop a relationship. The story yesterday with the woman who lost $1 million, it went on for 2 years. So it's, you know, we've seen it both ways where you start messaging with someone or you're on a dating app and you're messaging with that person and they start what's called love bombing you. Where immediately, you know, just a couple weeks in, I love you, you are the most beautiful person I've ever met, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Where like if we were in person, you would be like, whoa, hold on, I haven't even met your mom, you know, like let's just wait, you know. So it seems unusual to have such strong feelings right out of the gate. And typically what we see, victims tend to be lonelier. You know, maybe they're living up by themselves for the first time. Maybe they're in an assisted living facility and, you know, just not at home. Whatever the circumstance is, they like this attention, if you will. And there was one woman in Macomb I met, her son asked me to speak with her because she was messaging with Elon Musk and had been sending him a couple $1,000s every couple of weeks. Now, we all know our friend Elon does not necessarily need a couple $1,000s a month. But again, if you ask yourself, what would it take for me to be convinced that Elon Musk needs my money? You have to know that these scammers have already figured that out. They know exactly what to say to somebody and how long it takes to get them to build that trust. And they're really, really, really good at it. Really, really good at it. And so I sat down with this woman privately, and she showed me her phone, and there was 4 different Elon Musk accounts. And I said, does this look right to you? You know, do you think? She's like, no, I know it's not Elon. I just like getting the attention. So she was essentially subscribing to someone paying attention to her, sending her a message every day throughout the day, setting up calls. Of course, they were never video calls, to fill that void. You know, her husband had passed away. She was living in this facility. She just, you know, wanted that relationship, as we all need, right? We all need that human connection, and this was satisfying that need. So we're seeing that kind of pattern in your experience. And
I haven't investigated these per se, but I've been to different training events where they talk about it. Unfortunately, scammers, so much of our information is out in the public domain. Obituaries are a great one for the romance scams. They see so-and-so survived by, you know, their spouse of whatever many years or longtime partner. And then it's simple, read the obituary in the News Gazette today, see who's surviving, and then just do a quick Google search or Facebook, type in, and you're going to find the people. And I'm guilty of it too. Put out a little, maybe too much information on social media where it says you live, and then it's just a process of, you know, throwing a bunch of stuff at the dartboard and see what sticks. And if it's an active account, if you have an active account, and it says, oh, were you married to so-and-so or whatever, they're like, yes, I'm sorry for your loss, and then it builds from there. One of the things with social media, if you're looking at that, is look at the profiles. If they have 3 friends and very little information, I won't interact with those, because that, to me, that's been a big red flag. If someone sends me a friend request and they have very little information, and it sounds like a name I may have known from the military or for work or wherever, those are huge red flags, because the scammers will build stuff that looks legit at the first glance, but when you start digging a little further, that's where you start seeing more of those red flags. Like, because how many of us that have had a long time social media account, you're posting a bunch of pictures of your family, different events you go to. Some people like posting the meals at the restaurant. So there should be more than 3 or 4
Yeah.
generic looking pictures in a legitimate social media account, because all they care about is getting a little bit of money, and then they can throw that account away once you start, or that the victim starts questioning things or calling them out on it. Then it's on to the next one. And you don't have to get a lot, one big account, if you have 10 different profiles and are getting $1,000 out of each one.
But if you keep your account private, it's only going to show when you change the profile picture anyway.
True, for Facebook.
I just don't understand why everybody doesn't keep their pages private.
Yeah.
A lot of it is also information, knowing that you have the option to make
Yeah.
a private
Right.
profile.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and the social media companies are always
Changing.
changing the privacy settings, where now with this update, the privacy settings go wide open until you
Yes.
go back in
Exactly.
and change things.
Yeah.
So when you see an update, when it comes in and updates, that's where you might want to start looking into what was changed on the update, because I'm guilty of it too, is I'll be like, oh, update, click, ignore everything.
Yeah.
And then when I go back in,
You're like, hey, I
and
didn't
then
know.
like, oh, no,
Do
I
that
want,
with your
I don't
phones
know.
as well. The phone settings will always change when you do the updates.
Yeah, you can look on your Facebook account or something like that and see how does the public see my page, to make sure that it is private.
Yeah.
I want it to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, great information. And to keep in mind too, this is another example where artificial intelligence is going to really make this even harder. So one of our biggest tips in this scam is if they refuse a video call with you. Well, now AI, they can create a video call with you, and it's not them. So, you know, basically in this scam, if you've never physically in person met this person, we would discourage you from sending any money. What's your question?
I do have a problem with AI. Like, I call my bank, for example, and I have to go through a video interpreter. And when I do that,
Oh.
AI sees that as a scam. And I have to go, no, it's not a scam, it's an interpreter that I'm going through. So then I have to go there in person and talk to them and explain what's going on. So how do I resolve that issue?
Oh my gosh. That's a big problem.
It
I
is.
think the industry needs to be proactive in serving the disabled
Right,
community.
they kind of forgot about us because that's our one.
That's how you do it. Yeah. Hmm.
Have you spoken with the local bank?
Yeah, I just recently did that. So we're still kind of working that angle from that point of view.
That's where I would start, yeah.
Yeah, I think there needs to be an industry awareness though, for sure. Yeah, you're right, that will present another disruption in the marketplace, for sure. $929 million that we know of lost in romance scams. And again, I can't emphasize this enough, we're seeing people sending their life savings, people selling their homes in order to send the money, taking out home equity loans. It's a huge problem, and again, even when someone like myself or local police officers tell the victim this is a scam, sometimes they're still adamant, like, no, they would never do this to me. And a lot of times they'll come to us because the issue is they have to keep sending money because their bank won't pay them, right? So a lot of times the story is that the dating profile is a successful military man, you know, on a secret mission, can't really talk about work a whole lot, but really, really passionate about you and a really kind person, and you know, but they run into a jam with work. They're stuck. They can't get supplies to their men. They can't get home from a foreign country. Some kind of crisis happens during the relationship, and they need you to get them out of the jam. And so they end up asking for thousands of dollars in order to save the situation. And, you know, if you think about if it were, you know, your husband sitting right next to you, of course, what do we gotta do? Let's get him home. We gotta get him home. He's not safe, you know? You would do anything for someone that you loved. And so that is the exact emotion that the scammers are hoping that you're going to make that decision with, and not stop and say, why would the military not give supplies to your men? Why would you be stuck? Why would it take $20,000 to get you home? Why, you know, you're not asking those questions. You're just gonna do whatever it takes. So just be aware that this type of thing is happening locally. And so if you know of somebody that perhaps has had a life situation where maybe they're a little bit more alone than what they used to be, if they've become more reclusive, they're not going out as much, they're not visiting as much, that's probably because they're, you know, instructed to sit by the phone and wait for a call, wait for this, you know, one chance they get to talk to their person, and just check in, always check in on our friends and neighbors and how you doing, tell me about what's going on with you, and hopefully you'll get some kind of clue that, okay, there might be a situation we need to help with. Do you have any other advice on that one?
No, just, other than, you know, I never send anyone money unless I know them or I've met them in person. I'm very skeptical for my job, so I don't trust a lot of people. So if you want me to send you money, I wanna see I wanna see whatever I'm buying up front. And if it's even Facebook Marketplace, I won't order anything online from Facebook Marketplace just because it's so, it's full of scammers on there. So if I'm gonna buy something off Marketplace, it's gonna be local where I can see face to face. Because I can tell you it's so easy to make a fake Facebook account and then change it, and then the process of identifying that account and then getting a search warrant for that account and getting the records back, it's time consuming. And then Facebook doesn't care if you, whatever name you put in and set up the account. So with anything online, just be very, very cautious.
There are Facebook pages where you can report like bad sellers and stuff.
Yeah.
Not only on Facebook but for eBay and stuff like that. And they're letting you know if somebody changed their profile name and things like that. And this is what they always say they were selling. And
So one of if you're looking at something on Facebook Marketplace, we see this a lot with classic cars. So if there's any car guys in the room, what you want to do is a Google image search of that item. So if you pull up the car, you know, classic Mustang, let's say, and it's for sale for a crazy amount. You know that they're normally selling for 80 grand, and this one's offered for 22. You're like, oh man, if I could just get that car, right? So if you pull up that image and you right-click on it, one of the drop-downs that will be at your disposal will be Google Lens search, and that will tell you where else on the internet that exact image appears. So with Marketplace, we see scammers using multiple profiles listing the same item under different names, hoping to get someone in Champaign to buy this car, someone in Arizona to buy this car, all of those things. This tool, this Google image search, is also useful in the romance scam. So you can research that profile picture on the dating app or on Facebook, and it will tell you too how many other profiles, how many other dating apps are out there, and that's a really helpful tool to convincing someone that it is a scam. Like, look, they have 7 profiles with this name. Why would that be? With regard to romance scams, we see the scammers using the same type of that love bombing I was telling you about, same kind of protocol, if you will, to get multiple victims at once. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Norton Genie offers a scam detector tool for messages that you can upload the messages that someone has received, and it will tell you if this is a pattern of messages that are seen everywhere. So that's a helpful thing.
And one thing with the romance scams, one thing I have seen is that if it's someone that English is their native language or purports and their grammar is really really bad or a ton of typos, and I'm not just talking the internet shorthand typos, but if the sentence doesn't sound like what a native English speaker would say, that would probably be a big one, because
Yeah.
unfortunately there are a lot of international scammers from all over the world that will then engage in this kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, sure. All right, before we go, I want to touch on a local scam that we're getting reports of. This was kind of our last week and the beginning of this week. Garage door repair scams are kind of running rampant, and to our first example, or one of our earlier examples about just kind of generic Googling and calling the first result. So what we're finding are people that need their garage door repaired, and they're just searching like garage door repair near me, and they're calling this first result, which is different. It looks different depending on your city. So they are calling, and the consumer believes that they are calling a legitimate local garage door company that they've heard of, well-established names. And so they call this number and they answer the phone as if they're that local company, and they're dispatch a crew out to your home to fix your garage door. Well, the crew that shows up is in an unmarked car. They want some money up front for the repair. And they start doing the repair, and they're like, actually, this is going to be not $400, it's going to be $1,600. And so you're like, well, I got to get my car out, and you pay the $1,600. Your garage door opens, they leave, and then you figure out they didn't actually fix it. It's still not working. And so you call your local garage door company now, and they're like, no, we've never been to your house. We have no idea what you're talking about. We didn't come to your house. So it's something we're investigating as well, but I just want you to be aware. The one kind of commonality that we're seeing is a company where the invoice that they're using is called Central Garage Door. There's no address on it, there's no phone number on it. So it's very, non-descriptive, if you will, but they're pretending to be real local garage door companies with that first listing or that ad, and tricking people into paying thousands of dollars for a garage door repair that doesn't actually work. This is a very complicated slide. This just talks about the different scams we've covered. And just, the same red flags. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If Keanu Reeves wants to ask me to marry him, I'm going to be like, oh, that's probably not true. Okay, it's probably not true because it sounds too good, right? Pressure. So we didn't really go over the grandparent scam, but all of these scams have a commonality with urgency. They want you to make a decision, take action immediately without pausing or looking into it, and that's kind of what he was describing of, I'm going to look into it, I want to see where my money's going to go, I want to understand who's taking this money. So with regard to the grandparent scam, if you get that call that somebody's in trouble right now, we need you to send this money, we need you to take action, just practice that pause and say, okay, let me just make a couple phone calls and make sure that this is real before I do anything about it. Has anybody had that call? You want to talk about it?
Eric got a call. It sounded, it was a whiny, like he's in real trouble and he's been arrested, and then they asked him name and tried to get some information, and he didn't know it, so I just hung up.
Oh. How about you? What was your experience?
My mom she was in her 80s and got a call from my nephew, and she said it sounded like him. Mm-hmm. So she said, is this Bo? And he said, yeah. And he said he got in trouble at school. He needed money right away, and she had to get the money, like from CVS or somewhere, debit card, or a gift card.
Gift card. Yeah.
Scared her to death,
Yeah. And again, keep in mind that AI. So all of our younger people are on Instagram and TikTok with their faces and their voices, and it's going to be very easy for scammers to use AI to pretend to be your nephew or your grandson or your granddaughter, and you're not going to be able to tell. So you're going to have to, again, practice that pause. And historically, the scam, has been gift cards or a wire transfer, And recently, I heard a story in one of these seminars where they wanted the money to be picked up via courier. And so the woman went and got cash, and someone actually came to her house to pick up the money. But luckily, she had stopped and talked to her attorney. She said, if this doesn't work, I might need your help getting him out of this legal trouble. The story was he got in an accident, he had killed a pregnant woman, and he was arrested, and she needed to send all this money to get him out of jail and get him out of trouble. So, was there a question over here?
I'm just curious, like the mail, for example, if there's, let's say you can borrow money through the mail, is that part of the scam where you can get like thousands of dollars or whatever by mail? Is that a scam also, or not?
Borrowing money, I need a little more information.
Like I've gotten things that say you can get a loan for a car or a home, and it's got a company name on it. Is that also a scam, or is that a legitimate business?
Well, it depends. Not all of them are legitimate, and not all of them are a scam. So we would recommend you call our office or video call, whatever works for you, and we would investigate each one to tell you whether it's true or not.
What is your office number?
Yeah.
Office number is here. It's also on your notepads. So keep that by your phone. If you ever need, if you get a call about a scam or an email, or you have a question about anything, that's what our office is here to do. We're here to help you get the information that you need to make your next best decision.